Hey guys, I kind of hit a bit of a major snag with my John Deere L110 lawnmower. Follow along while we see what happened and what we're going to do to fix it. While I was cutting the grass on Saturday afternoon, I started smelling grass smoke, grass fire smoke, and wasn't sure where it was coming from. It was just kind of every once in a while I caught a whiff of it, and sooner or later I kind of turned a sharp corner and looked behind me and noticed that I had a cloud of smoke following me. Now, I didn't have any open flame, but in around this pulley or the spindle, I had a pretty good mass of hot grass that was kind of smoldering. Now, the problem that we've encountered here is that the factory spindles on this machine are not greasable. And because they're not greasable, you can't make sure that there's fresh grease in the bearings, and therefore they wear out. Now, this is, I believe, an '06 model, so, it's 18 years old, and it's got around 500 hours on it, so I guess they don't really owe us anything, but not very good when you almost end up burning the mower down. To get this thing out of here, it looks to me like we've got two fasteners there, two fasteners on the other side, belt, and one pivot point at the front with that kind of funky looking rod. And that should get this thing out of here. Let me pull this apart. I'm going to need both hands to do that, and then I'll bring you guys back when I got the mower deck separate from the machine. The one tricky part of getting this out of here is the engage lever for the mower deck. And you can see this cable was sitting in this little hook held in with one of the pip pins, and fairly easy once you get it out of this bracket to disconnect. Ideally, throw it up on the mower deck or otherwise hang it on the machine. And now we can drag this mower deck out from underneath the machine, take the machine away if we decided to, and put the mower deck up on a table so we can work on it. Here are our new spindles. They come with fresh bolts. These are the blade retention bolts, the hub retention bolts or hub mounting bolts. We got our big nut that the pulley mounts to up on the top, and we got fresh blade mounts underneath. Pretty straightforward. The big advantage to this style of hub is we've got a grease zerk. And when we're putting these up in place, we need to make sure that we get the grease zerk in a position we can get to. And hopefully we do that, we'll get a much better lifespan out of these hubs. Although, 18 years, we can't really fault the factory ones all that much. And with greasable ones, when we grease the front end in the spring, check and see if we need to change the oil, that kind of thing, we'll squirt a little bit of grease into these as well. Lots of grass and crap packed in around these shivs. This deck hasn't been off of this machine in quite a number of years. It seems to me we changed the belt on it once when it was my father's machine, and when I inherited it last summer, I looked at the belt and figured that it was reasonably decent, so I kept running it. Lots of crap packed in around here, and I guess that's kind of normal for this machine. Because I had this cleaned out all the way around this pulley when it started to threaten open flames, and there's still a bunch packed in there. And this one over here with the brake on it still has a bunch more stuff packed in around it. Let me put you guys down. I'm going to buzz this cover off, and we'll give everything a good clean up here. I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to start looking at the work we got to do. As usually happens when you start digging into a little bit of a project, we ended up finding a few things here that we weren't necessarily expecting. I knew there was a bunch of paint that was lifting off here and there from the deck, and figured that it would be worthwhile cleaning that up a little bit. But I didn't realize it was quite as extensive as what I found here. This is the worst of the flaking paint has been peeled off of here, but there's still some more I'm sure of. I I think I'm going to end up having to clean this up as best I can and hit it with some tractor implement yellow. You don't buy John Deere yellow because then you're paying for the license, but get some tractor implement yellow and spray it on here. Trimclad is a rust paint that we have here in Canada. I think it's made by Rust-Oleum now. It used to be its own separate brand, but we'll squirt some of that on here and slow down some of the rust. This is a stamped sheet metal deck, and rust on sheet metal, not a good thing, especially considering there's going to be moisture and stuff sitting in around these pulleys. One other issue that I found is that this brake is seized open. I guess better seized open than seized closed. But when you engage the blade, this pulley gets pulled over, and you see how this brake is pulling back off the pulley. Well, this one is stuck back. So here's our is free spinning. Over here we can spin it, but it's not so free spinning. So that's the way it's supposed to be when you turn the blade off. The blades are supposed to shut down right away. So we need to get that apart and free it up, as well as getting these hubs out. Let me flip this thing over so that we can see the underside of it a little bit, and I'll show you what I found there. The blades, they're in reasonably decent shape. They're pretty dull though, so definitely I'm going to touch those up a little bit. Just take an angle grinder. You don't have to get too carried away sharpening a lawnmower blade. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth like a knife blade. It just has to be kind of a rough serrated edge, but this has obviously been into the rocks and it's pretty dull. So we'll hit those up while we've got them off. Maybe we'll give them a little bit of a balance, see if they're massively out of balance. Looks like this one's kind of missing a bit of a tip here, so there might be a balance issue. Makes the machine run a little smoother, easier on parts if we don't have a vibration happening. This is the hub that's gone. And you hear there's some play in it, and it's not real super smooth, unfortunately. Otherwise, mostly just a bit of cleanup. Scrape off some of the grass remnants that are under here. Give it a good clean out. Make sure nothing's hiding underneath there. And I think we'll say that that's not going to be too bad. Well, guys, I think I'm going to call this a night. Video's not over yet. It'll be a couple seconds for you, but it'll be probably tomorrow for me. I'm going to keep cleaning up here just a little bit more, but it is starting to become mosquito 30 out here, so I'm not going to be playing with this a whole lot more. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow evening. One more little thing that I found here that's good timing, I guess. When I was cleaning, and you can see this bracket is starting to crack out of the deck. I'm going to have to clean this up really good and see if I can get some weld splattered on there. The good news is I'm kind of sort of set up to fire up the big welder now, so hopefully we can get that burned back in place here before we need to put this machine back in service. Anyways, catch you guys in the morning. Hey guys, we got a little bit of progress made here. Didn't film anything last night, but didn't get a whole lot done either. I did fire up the pressure washer and give this all a really good blasting. I got a lot of the grunge off of there and kind of got it stripped down to where we're dealing with the scale. And we've got a die grinder with a scrubby pad on it that we're going to use to dig into this a little bit further. These almost sponge looking things do a really nice job of stripping rust and old paint off. I don't plan on stripping all the paint off of this, but I do want to pull a bunch of the rust scale off, and that way we've got a good surface for the paint to bond to. You'll notice we've got the two hubs unbolted. I think this one may have been changed at one time because it it unbolted fairly easy. The impact gun just pulled the bolts out, no big deal. Over here on this side, all four of these bolts sheared right off. So I'm thinking this is probably an original, and this one's been changed at some point. I vaguely remember changing out a spindle. I don't know if it was on this mower deck or another one, but I think maybe we did this. We'll get this all cleaned up. We got a crack to buzz in here, and we've got a couple of other welding jobs to do while I've got the welder fired up. And hopefully we can get this thing most of the way put back together, because looking at my yard, it's getting close to needing another shave. Let me put you on a stand. We'll do a little time lapse of this. You don't want to listen to the die grinder and the compressor going round and round here. And I'll bring you back when I've got things cleaned up. Well guys, I think we're going to call that good enough for the cleanup. The paint I'm putting on is a rust paint, and it'll be fine over top of a little bit of, roughness. We didn't want massive scale and loose stuff on there. I think I've got that mostly taken care of. I see another couple of little places that are going to need a touch up with the welder, but nothing too extreme. I think that's probably our next step. Unfortunately, the welder's not quite ready to go, so that's going to take a little bit of work too. But I'll bring you back when I'm ready to fire up the buzz box, and we'll see how it turns out. Following the advice that a good way to get ridiculed on social media is to showcase your welding skills, I haven't shown you guys my welding job. It was, it's glued back together. The worst of the crack is gone. Seems nice and stable. I think that will do. And while I had the welder fired up, I stuck on a couple of tabs for my buddy's boat trailer fenders. Before we splash on some color, give it a quick wipe down with some, it's actually gun wash, used for cleaning spray guns. But I find it works well as a degreaser. Again, we're not going for perfect, we're going for better than it was. Gloss yellow. Something tells me that's not going to match up all that well. But you know what? I don't care. It's not rusty, that's the main thing, or bare steel. Yeah, close enough to a minute. Well, it's not the bright John Deere gold yellow that I was expecting. It's more like the John Deere backhoe yellow. Or maybe Caterpillar yellow? Now this is interesting. Supposedly it's the exact same color, but this is more like the original John Deere lawnmower green, or sorry, John Deere lawnmower yellow. Well guys, I think we're going to call it quits here for tonight. Let this paint dry. It's getting to be almost mosquito 30 here. So we'll let things dry up overnight, and maybe I'll touch it up a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll get those spindles put back in and get the rest of it all put back together. Because the lawn is probably going to need cutting. Tomorrow is Saturday morning, and that's when I usually cut the lawn. So I will end it for this evening here, and we'll get back at it in the morning. It's the next day, and I think we're going to call that done. A little bit of rain was falling over at night, a few little drops on it, but the paint had a chance to set up pretty well. A few little thin in places, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with that. It's time to put this thing together. We've got the new hubs. We've got some brackets that we need to put back on, that kind of thing. Get that brake back up and running. So I'm going to put you on a stand and we'll do a little bit of a time lapse here, play some music for you, and I'll see if I can get this thing buzzed back together before it starts raining again. We got that back together again. Everything seems to be working the way I expect it to. These two idler pulleys feel like they're in good shape. I didn't bother replacing those at this time, but definitely I think we're going to have to take this deck out every spring now, make sure that we get it well greased and get it put back together. Speaking of which, I should probably give those spindles a little bit of a touch up before we call this good enough. I'll pop this cover back off and squirt a little grease in there. Then we got the underside to deal with. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to put the blades on. I put an edge on these blades, and yeah, it looks rough, but that's actually the way it's supposed to be. It kind of works like a serrated knife if you have a bit of a rough edge on there. You definitely don't want it to be too blunt like they were. This blade, I think she's pretty well done. You can see I've had to go fairly far back. Even then, it's not tapered down to a real nice edge. And you can see that the end of the blade is cracked. So I think we're just gonna order up a new pair and get them installed. I'm gonna put these back in just for the time being. And this makes me a little nervous, but it is what it is. We'll bolt these in place and get a fresh set on order and put them in at a later time. I don't know that I'll necessarily do a video because basically it won't be a whole lot different than what we've done with this. Let me get things staged here and then we'll do a little time lapse of bolting these things in. Just a matter of putting the new bolts in. I think I'm going to never seize those as well, just so that they come out easily. Well guys, we're back together and functional. I did a quick little lap around the yard here just to test it out, and it seems to be cutting just fine. This repair turned out to be a little bit bigger than I was expecting to be, but nothing that can't be taken care of with a little bit of effort. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. Give me a thumb up if you got this far. And appreciate you hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Catch some more great content from Doug's Messy Garage, and we'll catch you guys in the next mess. Thanks for watching.